So, hello everybody. Nice to meet you all. My name is Miloš. I'm from Safetica, from the Czech Republic. I'm a project and pre-sales team lead. I've been with the company for 8 years now. So I know the products well, I hope. And today it would be only me because in Oxford, in the south, we held the session with my colleague from sales department, Monica. But I will substitute the sales part for her now today. So I will do both sales and technical presentation. And we will be talking about our current product portfolio, differences in these products. We will talk about the positioning, about use cases, about some best practices about our products. We will focus on Safetica Next because it's our cloud-based SaaS solution that we feel very comfortable with in the UK. We believe that that might be the way for you guys and your customers because it's very easygoing and user-friendly solution. I will do a practical demonstration of both products in my virtual environment. So we will touch the product itself. And at the end, I will very quickly talk about the partner onboarding because we offer not only to our distributors, but also to their resellers, an opportunity to participate in our onboarding program, which may help you to go through the technical aspects of our products, get certified, and get benefits out of that certification. So that's an agenda. But as Alex said, I would be very glad if we can have a discussion because it's not many of us here, and it will be very beneficial if you have questions. You can stop me during the presentation anytime, and we can discuss those points more in detail, depending on what you need to hear. As Alex mentioned, around 12:30 there should be a lunch break, and in between we will have a coffee break. So no worries, we will stop after like an hour to get some refreshments, and we will continue then before the lunch. So let me start with the first part, which is a company and product introduction. I'm wondering how many of you already are familiar with Safetica? And have you worked with it with some customers or? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So I will make the company intro very brief. So you know our company a bit. We've been on the market for more than 12 years. We were founded in 2011 as Safetica, but even before, the company already focused on security as an encryption tool. So we switched from encryption to DLP in 2011. As you can see, we have been listed in many of the known promoters or marketers of like Gartner, Forrester, Radicati, and software reviews. So we actually, even though that we are a small company from the Czech Republic, we can compete with huge names like McAfee, Forcepoint, or Symantec, and we are pretty successful in it. The part of the success lies with our technology alliance partners, with ESET in the first place. We've been cooperating with ESET for the past 6 or 7 years. The alliance is pretty strong. I would say ESET is our global partner, so we don't operate through ESET only in the UK, but around the whole world. As you can see, we have also other partners, including Microsoft, including Fortinet, including Netflix. So we are pretty flexible and scalable. And that's why we have those partners, because we fight against competition that has, or they usually have, like all-in-one solutions. So for example, imagine McAfee, they have all-in-one solution with antivirus, with DLP, with ERD, ERP, all these fancy names, firewalls and everything. We don't. We are a strict DLP company, but we use our technological partners to fill their gaps and to fill our gaps in our portfolio. With ESET, we have antivirus and EDR and XDR. With Fortinet, we have FortiGate's firewall. With Microsoft, we are able to integrate with Microsoft Information Protection and Microsoft DLP. We support Azure systems. So we fully support Safetica running in Azure environment and supporting it with Netflix, American company, a competitor of Checkpoint, you might know. We have a first class data classification available. So as you can see, we don't have all-in-one solution, but partnering with our friends, it's very possible to do that as well. As you can see, we operate around the globe already. There is not many countries we don't operate in. We usually do it through our distributor network and through ESET network. So everywhere ESET is, Safetica is too. 2021 and 2022 were a breakthrough or breakout years for us because a lot of changed. We prepared a new cloud product, Safetica NXT. Just 2 weeks ago, we released our new generation of Safetica ONE product, which is our original product. I will talk about them very soon. But as you can see, every year throughout the past years, we've made some milestone. We've managed to get stronger and better. So hopefully this will be a continuous approach, and hopefully we can now start working with you more closely in the UK, because our this year's strategy for 2023, we are focusing on two markets, the UK and the US, because we already are known in the continental Europe. We are pretty strong in Asian countries. We have a very strong base in Latin America because we have a branch there actually. So now UK, Germany, and DACH generally, and the US are our go-to markets for this year because we really want to strike there and we really want to be successful there too. And it's very hard journey because US and UK markets are very difficult, but we believe that with our current product portfolio, it should be possible. So with further ado, let's go to the product intro. As you know, as a DLP company and insider threat protection company, we focus on data protection of data of companies, their know-how, their plans, their projects, their employee and customer information, etc. There are three main areas we focus on: human errors, because up to 67% of incidents are caused by a human error, not by intentional behavior. We also fight against problems in processes because many times companies, they have their security policies, very fancy, legally correct, but they don't force them. They don't have any tool to force the policy in practice. They just have it in the on the paper, but employees don't follow it because they don't need to. There is nothing that controls them or helps them to define the borders. And we also fight against disgruntled employees because that's a very common thing. If an employee leaves company, employees tend to think that data they work with belong to them, and it's not correct because it belongs to the company. And they usually tend to get the data away from their computers, from network paths, from cloud storages. And they copy them to like flash drives or external hard drives, or they send it by email or whatever. But with a false presumption, they can use the data to promote themselves, for example, with the next employer, or intentionally sell it to a competitor or whatever. So these are the three main areas we try to fight. And in past years, insider threats were rising and are rising still. As you can see in these statistics, it's quite enormous number of companies that confirmed that they were a part of a security incident. 73% of them actually experienced some. 47% of companies researched in these statistics, they were in 47%, these incidents were caused by an insider person. And in 60% of cases, those incidents are data breaches. So there is many categories of incidents and insider threats. But when we talk about the data, digital data. These are the numbers. To support this a bit, let's talk about money, because nowadays a security incident like this is very expensive. In average, around the world, when we put all those incidents in average, it was $4.24 million per incident, which is not cheap. So if you are a small or medium company and something like this happens to you, and you're in a healthcare sector, for example, which is very sensitive, this might be destroying for you. This might be very like this might really
kill your business.
Yeah, it might kill your business. It might kill your reputation. It might like really put you off the grid. So we really try to fight it, because it grew 31% in 2 last years. And as you can see on these charts, even the price got much bigger. And I could continue in this from different points of view, not only about money, but I could continue regarding the amount of the data that leaked, uh, the scale of the data. There were so many leakages in the past years, and they happened to big companies, corporate companies as well, like T-Mobile, several times in several European countries, like banks. A lot of banks experienced insider threat, or they experienced data leak from the inside because some person forgot to lock the database or something, and some attacker accessed it, and they got the data, etc. So there is so many areas that might be influenced.
Royal Mail here got attacked this around a month or two ago, even Royal Mail.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, for the companies who experienced the leakage might be very unpleasant, because as you can see, the number one risk for the company is reputational damage. If you or your customers handle their data, they trust you with the data. If the data is leaked, their trust is gone. Why should I trust you again? Why should I put my trust in you? Why should I give you my data so you can store it and protect it if you didn't make it in the first place? And they will go to a competitor. Of course, there is the financial damage. It's very expensive to retrieve the data. With ransomware, ransomware situations with ESET. ESET protects situations like that. If a ransomware attack happens, you either pay, because you have either backup, so screw ransomware, or you don't have a backup, so you need to pay a ransom to get your data back, which happens like in 40%, because otherwise you pay and you don't get the data neither, right? Or you don't pay, but you lose the data. So it's very expensive, because if something like this happens from the outside or from the inside, when the data leaks, there is no Control Z. You can't go back. You can't reverse that action. It already happened.
This is something it's a question I raised previously with ESET. The data's way out of date. It's that showing 2019. So obviously that was done beforehand. And given that we've had lockdown and things since, have you got any more up-to-date information?
Yeah, so basically, yes, we have, but they are not public yet. We can't release this information publicly because it takes a year approximately before these researchers release the information publicly. So we have them. It's very similar. It's actually even worse, because with work from home, the risk of data leak actually increased because people were working on their personal computers or unsecured company computer, because not every company had a chance to secure their laptops, for example, before all the people stayed home during COVID. So it actually increased the number of incidents. As I said, we can't use that statistics yet, but we are already in touch with all these sources. In this case, it was Egress. In this case, it was Ponemon or Verizon. So we collect information from a lot of companies that are focusing on these statistics. And once we have them, released, or once we are allowed to release them, we will definitely share it with you. But the trend was established in 2019, and the trend is increasing. So everything you can see here is actually much more dense and much more frequent than in these statistics.
It's worse.
Yes, it's getting worse, or it got worse throughout the past years. Working from home is very great. I also work from home, but I was lucky because our IT department, they handled the preparation of our laptops before we stayed at home. So we had everything. We had VPN, we have ESET antivirus, we have a lot of things prepared on our computers, remote access, Intune management and maintenance. Everything was there already. But some companies, they were not ready. They didn't have anything. They didn't have VPN. They didn't have any like strong antiviruses installed. They didn't have DLP to look after their employees, not allowing them to upload data wherever they wanted. So that's what we try to prevent, because the P in the DLP, it's data loss protection, but at the same time, it's data loss prevention. And that's very strong saying, because the preventing part is very important. I will get to it later. From this past segment, the main message is that any company can secure its data. A lot of employers or a lot of firms will tell you, we can't do it because some reason. It's not true. It's not so hard. You need only 3 steps. You need an audit. You need an, let's say, classification process, and you need a protection process. These are 3 simple steps. Every company can do it. It's not like expensive so much. It's not so time consuming. If you find an expert in the field, a partner like you, it can be a very, very easy process. Safetica follows this process as well. We have 3 steps to do the DLP configuration. We skip the classification because we think that majority of modern companies now already classify their data, but we can do it somehow in the first phase called discovery. So during discovery, we audit the environment, we audit the workflow and data flow of the employees, and we learn how they behave, we learn how they work. So we could create this secured perimeter. They could work still, maintaining their business as usual, and everything outside that perimeter would be protected by Safetica, by the DLP. Then, in the second step, we educate these users. We start showing them pop-up windows from our system, our solution, informing them that they work with sensitive data and they should be careful. We educate them that there is something like sensitivity in files, classification of files. And once they are used to it, once they know that there is some security solution like Safetica in place, we start protected, which means those friendly pop-ups are still there, but are not so friendly anymore, because instead of just saying, hey, this is a sensitive file, be careful, we stop the operation in the case it's going outside the borders of the secured perimeter we previously configured. So inside that perimeter, do whatever you want. You work with authorized systems, you have authorized and authenticated access. You can do whatever you want, but in the moment you try to break these rules and send the email, for example, to an unauthorized email domain, or upload the file to an unauthorized cloud, that's the moment when Safetica would interfere and stop the operation to protect the data. The goal is to keep the data inside the company's environment. I talked about the protection and education with DLP. I talked about internal threats. We also can help your customers with regulatory compliances. So if there is some need to follow GDPR, ISMS, PCI DSS,
ISO.
27K, yeah, and similar regulations and standards. Safetica can help to follow some of the points of these standards, which are focusing on digital data, and we can help your customers force those policies in their environments. And on top of that, we are helping with the management of the operational efficiency, because we have modules that also show which apps and webs are used throughout the workday of the user, so we can limit them only to those that are really which are like really needed in the work process. Because time to time, currently there is a buzzword called shadow IT. So a lot of companies allow their users to install something on their computers so they can start using unauthorized browsers, or, to be honest, some of our customers' employees, they use Tor browsers, which are untraceable, right? And if you have something like that installed on your work computer, who can protect you from doing something malicious, even by error? No one, because nobody knows that you use that application. There are no rules for it. There is no firewall rules for it, perhaps. So using applications, unauthorized applications and webs like these, you are potentially endangering the company, because you might be the weak spot any attacker waits for.
And this very feature, in fact, most of our partners in the UK consider as the sort of biggest selling point of the tool, the ability to analyze the workflows and the usage of tools. Obviously, that's a precondition to protect the environment, but realistically, the analysis and the statistics and the reports that come out of the tool are really useful just for that very reason, to understand the customer's business better and what processes they follow. And if they are actually on track of implementing those new pieces of software and practices they think they do. So it just becomes very obvious, for example, they purchase a new accountancy software and then they figure out through Safetica that it's used 2 hours a week by their accountancy person. Well, clearly they don't need to license the whole company. So indirectly, it results in cost savings, because they then just realize they don't need as many licenses, or they can be shared. And that is, I think, an entry selling point to a customer. And then DLP is actual DLP comes on top of it as a bonus, effectively.
Yeah. Of course, the DLP itself, it's the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
but it's not it doesn't have to be the first step.
Yeah.
It hardly ever is. Usually these auditing and optimization features are the first step. Then we talk about the securing the perimeter. Then we talk about some general policies. And as the final step, we talk about the final ultimate DLP configuration, because it's a process. Security is a process. Many people think that security can be a state. Like, yes, now I'm secured. It's not true. You are never secured. It's a process, continuous, never ending, endless process of optimizations and changes, because those attackers and those insiders, they always think ahead, 2-3 steps ahead, how to break your current security. So if you haven't changed your security in like 2 months, you're already outdated and you are really like vulnerable many times. With Safetica, you don't need to think which channels can be protected, because we protect them all. There are some exceptions, of course, like SFTP, for example. We don't support it because it's encrypted and we don't see inside that communication, but it's already encrypted. So, you don't need to protect something that's already protected. Or we don't support these IBM domino protocols from IBM Lotus Notes, because, Alex, yeah, you have a floor box.
Oh, in the floor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so for example, Domino Lotus Notes, we don't support that protocol because it's a very, very old application and very old system. I know it's still used among corporate customers, but well, if you use IBM Lotus Notes these days, something's not very right. So we protect everything, no matter the channel, no matter the technology. It can be an instant messaging. We can either limit users to use only authorized instant messaging, like let's say Teams and Skype, and forbid everything else, meaning like WhatsApp and messengers and this stuff. Or we can allow them all, but we say data, sensitive data, can be shared only through authorized instant messaging tools, and you won't share it through WhatsApp, let's say. So I would be able to send a file to my colleague, but I won't be able to send it to my friend through a different instant messaging tool. So there are always two approaches, either forbid it completely or just for the sensitive data. And these are the channels, actually. We have two solutions. So Safetica ONE was originally made as an on-premises solution. It's a typical client-server architecture. The server is connected to Microsoft SQL database and allows integrations with the third-party tools I referred to previously. And we can do it both ways. So we can synchronize our policies with Microsoft and Fortinet, etc. And we can use third-party classifications as inputs, like the one from Netflix. Then there is the console, which displays all the data. And we have an endpoint client, so we are an endpoint DLP. With Safetica ONE, in the past months, we made it available for clouds too. So it can be installed either on premises in physical virtual appliance, or it can be done in Azure or Amazon Web Services as well. You just need to switch the communication to go through the internet instead of LAN. But we don't deliver this as a service. It's up to customer whether they want to use an on-premises or cloud appliance. And yeah, that's our architecture in a box. It's very simple. To be more precise, we use some custom ports for the communication. So there is a port between console and the server. There was previously also Web Safetica, so we had desktop version of the console and web version of the console, which is gone now. I will talk about it in a minute. There is the server connection to the database and server connection to endpoints. All these ports can be changed. It can be made a custom port. If they install the server into the cloud appliance, the port can be changed. So using port forwarding only, to that one point, our clients can communicate. And this communication is encrypted. We currently use TLS 3 point something. We will be switching to HTTPS actually very soon. But TLS it's strong enough. HTTPS is more modern, of course, but we're getting there. So this communication it's encrypted, and the data in the database are actually hashed. So no one else can read the data anyway. So this is Safetica ONE. Safetica Next is a cloud SaaS solution. So we deliver it as Safetica as a service, and it's hosted on our Azure appliances. So the customers, they don't need to have any infrastructure to install it, except the endpoint computers, of course. So within minutes after the initial deployment, they can start using Safetica Next because it's very, very quickly deployed. It's hosted in Microsoft Azure. It's compatible with Azure Active Directory. It's compatible with Azure SQL if you want. So it can be hosted in cloud fully, and it's all on our side. And we just provide it to you, our partners, so we can provide it to your customers. With Safetica Next, there is Safetica Hub for partners, which is like this very simple MSP console where you can host multiple Next sessions, trials, demos, or full licenses to your customers, so you can manage many NXTs under one Safetica hub. I will get to the practical demonstration very quickly. So this was the introductory part.
Is there any reservations towards Safetica being a cloud solution? Because I understand some of your customers, for example, they really insist that they've got an on-premise console because of the sensitivity of data. Is there lack of trust there, or is it lack of just the way the tool is structured, as how you know it right now?
So the issue we've had has not been about anything being cloud-based. That has not been the issue. Sure. The issue has been the functionality of Safetica NXT as opposed to Safetica ONE. You mentioned there that within the UK marketplace,
Yeah.
the actual workplace management, so to be able to see what people are doing with the things, isn't available on Safetica NXT. Safetica NXT was just a pure DLP solution that didn't allow the workforce management side that UEFA gives you with Safetica ONE.
Sure.
And then when we had smaller elements that want Safetica ONE, we've never had an actual definitive answer of how to spin it up in Azure, because what was on the Azure marketplace never mentioned SQL. So these are the challenges that we've had. It's not about the requirement to be on premise.
Sure.
It's about the functionality of Safetica NXT and the lack of support to be able to provide Safetica ONE in an Azure environment.
I have good news for you then, because I don't know when you last seen Safetica NXT, a few months ago maybe. It's a completely different product, and you will see. I will showcase it, because what we did in the past several months, we sat down, not me, but our product management, and we talked to your partners. Actually, we talked to MSPs in the UK. We talked to ESET MSPs. We talked to our direct MSPs here. We collected a lot of feedback. And because we knew 23 will be our UK and US go-to-market year, we accommodated the product to fit your regional requirements. So we collected a lot of feedback, and we reworked Safetica NXT to be better, very similar to Safetica ONE. At the same time, we released a new generation of Safetica ONE, so both products are more similar than ever. It's almost like the same product, but for different customers. So I will showcase it now in the product portfolio part. Regarding the introductory section, any questions or anything? Everything's clear? Yeah. All right. So let's move on with the product portfolio. So as you know, we have two of them. We have a third product too. It's not like a public product, but it's called Safetica CASB, Cloud Access Security Broker. To be able to protect data shared to clouds, we need a CASB API to communicate between our products and someone else's product, like Microsoft Information Protection or Google Workspace Protection module. So we created CASB also, which is capable, or which is compatible with both of our products, and will be introduced in both in upcoming weeks. Safetica ONE Enterprise DLP and Insider Protection Tool. Enterprise because it fits for SMBs to enterprise customers up to 10,000 seats. Safetica NXT is next gen as a service DLP, cloud-based, of course, and its sweet spot is lower. So it's for small to medium customers up to 300 seats. That's a sweet spot. We can make it up to 450 approximately. So we can extend the capacity if it's needed, but the sweet spot is 20 to 300 seats. With Safetica ONE, it's 150 to 10,000. For you as partners of ESET to be able to compare these, we have a lot of quick comparison materials and tools. We will be sharing the presentation with you afterwards, so all those links will be available for you. We have Safetica ONE data sheets for both generations, the older generation and the newest generation. I will showcase the newer one. We have the comparison between Safetica version or generation 10 and version or generation 11, so you can decide which one is better for the customer. At the same time, we have comparisons between Safetica ONE and Safetica NXT. We have positioning cheat sheets and qualification cheat sheets. So basically, when you use these materials and talk to customers, asking them those questions from those materials, you will ultimately be given an answer on which product the customer needs, which product is the most suitable for them. It's very, very easy to follow these. Regarding the positioning, as I mentioned, Safetica Next starts with 20-seat core package. So if you purchase Safetica Next core package, it includes 20 user licenses already, and you can purchase additional users based on the count on top of that.
You say it's a minimum of 20 seats.
So it's not a minimum. If you purchase there is a core package, like an initial package, and the initial package always includes 20 users. We can go lower because of the cost of the solution. So there is a core package, initial package. It includes 20 seats.
So price-wise, yeah, basically the minimum is 20. You can run it on less than 20. You just have to pay for it.
Yeah. With Safetica Next, as I said, the sweet spot in here, it's 300 to 3,000 seats. That's the really comfortable SMB to a small enterprise sector for us. But in reality, we can do 20 to 10,000 seats. Obviously, with bigger enterprise customers, around 9,000 seats, we need to tweak a database a bit. We need to change the indexing, but we will do it for free for the customers. So if there are some huge customers like that of yours and want to host it on one server, it's possible. There are also different verticals for both products. Safetica ONE is suitable for customers who needs complicated or more advanced, more complex data protection from sectors like manufacturing, healthcare, finance. On the other hand, Safetica Next is good to any company, especially smaller companies without IT infrastructure or IT people to care of it, because it's very automated, very almost like autonomous, because we made it that way. So after the installation, there is no need to change anything for very basic configuration. So the customer is protected from the very first moments of the deployment. When we compare our product to our competitors, and when you look on this simple chart, it's very simplified from what it actually says, but there are companies that enforce data security perfectly, but users pay for it, unfortunately. They pay for it with slow computers. They pay for it for very heavy configuration that doesn't allow them to work fluently. It influences their BAU. Solutions like Symantec, Forcepoint, McAfee, they are very great at what they do, but users pay for it, which is sad because you want users to produce. On the other hand, there are solutions that has great UX, are very lightweight for the performance, are very user-friendly, but they don't protect the data very well. Like Endpoint Protector from Costas, which is a Romanian competitor actually, or Terramind, which comes from Asia. The biggest advantage of Safetica is that we think of both areas. We want a strong protection, but we don't want to influence users' work at all. So we always try to meet in the middle, protecting them, but not forbid them to work. That's why we have that safe zone. We call it safe zone, safe perimeter, where those users can work without any interruptions because it's authorized. And that's our very first step every time. What's your authorized portfolio? What's your authorized system list and apps list? So we can define it in Safetica and ignore it. Because we still log the operations, but we don't interrupt them. This is the part that was prepared by Monica, so I'll do my best to interpret it. So basically, what is the ideal opportunity to sell Safetica? If there is no ESET, you can bundle ESET and Safetica and offer it as a package. External and insider protection at the same time. Our products are very compatible. We made sure with the ESET HQ in Slovakia, we made sure that there are no conflicts in our technologies. So we can have both DLP and EDR or XDR from ESET at the same time without any conflicts or interruptions of these two solutions. And at the same time, in ESET's administration console, you can deploy our agents to the environment. So you can use the ESET, how is it called exactly?
Security management.
Security management to deploy Safetica solution to the customer's environment.
Yeah.
Of course, you can do it otherwise. You can use GPO, you can use some installation scripts, you can use PowerShell, you can use whatever method you want to distribute our MSI package. We still don't have, unfortunately, we don't have our own distribution method, but that's what we use ESET for.
Everyone here present in the room uses our protect environment.
Yeah.
So basically deployment is from that
Sure.
preset there, the agent. It's quite straightforward, basically.
Yeah. So there are three types of opportunity, except those where no antivirus is yet, so you can bundle it. And the opportunity can be overlooked from context point of view, profitability point of view, and technological point of view. So let's see about the context. Many media, a lot of media focus on data leaks these days. You see it everywhere. If you go to any security media portal on the web, any kind of like CNET or security news here from the UK, you will immediately see many titles regarding data leaks. So you can help yourselves with using this information, these types of information to communicate it to your customers. Because a lot of companies around the world, I would say around 40 to 50% from my experience, think nothing can happen to us. It's not true. It can happen just like that. And as I said at the beginning, there is no Control Z. You never can go back. If you don't prevent yourself from data leak and the leak happens, it happens and you pay for it. You pay for it in many ways. So you can use the media or you can use the law because there is so many regulations these days. Every industry or every sector of that industry, they have some regulations. We all have GDPR, obviously. We all have ISO, ISMS, and PCI DSS, and these international standards and regulations. But there is so many regulations that are state or kingdom specific. We have our own interpretation of GDPR in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. It's called Personal Data Protection Law, and it's very strict. And if those companies, especially in governmental sectors or municipal offices, they need to follow them strictly, we can help those customers to force those protection policies from Safetica. And they would avoid penalties and fines, which comes with breaking those regulations and standards. The second point of view is profitability. So there are two areas that we try to teach our partners to avoid, or we try to we teach them how to avoid them. Many times it happens that customers don't renew because they don't see the value in it. A lot of our partners, especially in Asian countries, they sell it. They do some basic stuff for the customer in the first 2 weeks, and then they just forget they have the customer and they don't care about them. So after some time, the customer realizes they purchased the DLP. It doesn't do anything for them because it's not properly configured. So why the hell should they renew if they paid some money for something that is not helping them at all? Also, the second reason is there is a very low usage, so very used product adoption. Let's say a customer purchased 300 seats, but they deployed only 30. And didn't deploy the rest because the partner wasn't proactively pushing them to implement it to all devices. And remember, if there is only one unprotected device, there is still a chance of data leak because that one device is a gate to that.
The backdoor.
Yeah, it's a backdoor to that operation. So what we teach our partners is proactively work with that customer. You don't need to necessarily do the configuration. We have ESET trained people. We have our own people who might help you with that. But you are our doors to the customers' companies because you talk to them daily, maybe, or weekly.
On the positive side, what will really help on top of this is the automated reporting which you can share with the customers. And when you do that, you constantly keep them informed on what was the latest, obviously, that happens in their network. So at the point of renewal or, potential conversation with the customer, they're already aware that this is the value of this on a day-to-day basis. If you can set it up, you can let it work there, but if it's silent for a year, there's every chance they'll say, why do we need this? Does it do anything? The reports are already there and really just help you deliver that value through that whole journey, not just as a one-off, not just once per month or once every year. It's a very regular thing to make people aware of security, not incidents always, but optimizations or situations, let's say.
Here is our best practice in how we work with our direct customers or our partner customers who wanted a vendor influence or vendors presence in the project. Many times it happens that corporate customers purchase a gold support directly from us as a vendor because they have money for it and they can afford it and they want it because who else knows the product better than the vendor themselves? So we sell it through customers, we sell it through partners to customers, but customers include us a lot of times into the project by purchasing some premium SLAs, for example. So this is our best practice, how we work with them. Always, you always start with profiting from selling licenses, of course. That's the basic price. You can profit by providing them some analysis on top of the licensing, because if you understand the product, you can generate a security audit from our product very quickly. I'll show it to you. And you can present it to the customer saying, okay, guys, so we found all these mistakes in your environment and we can fix them with Safetica, just like that. And it is a very strong selling point. And it's a paid service, so you will gain more money than just from licenses. You can help them with classification of sensitive data if they don't know how. If you help them, you sort the data in a way you need for Safetica or for ESET, and the life is just getting more comfortable and more easier because with classified data, it's much easier to configure the policies. You can help them to understand the flow, because usually when I talk to a customer and I'm like, so where is your data? I don't know. How much data do you have? I don't know. Who has access to that data? I don't know. And they know nothing. And you can help them to understand using Safetica, because we have the e-discovery feature, which tells you where exactly the data is.
Let's see, there's some known examples, I guess.
Yeah, sure. And only after.
Sorry, Milos.
Yeah.
I know we'll come on to it. Because one of the challenges was the e-discovery stuff was not available Safetica NXT.
Yeah, that's still true. E-discovery is not a part of Next. It's only part of Safetica ONE still. Nevertheless, it's because of the missing context DLP in Safetica Next. But I will show you the roadmap later. We already have the context DLP as part of Safetica Next this year. So in this year, imagine this is Safetica One feature set wise. This is Safetica Next now. By the end of the year, it will be like this, almost identical, but for completely different customers.
Yeah.
So Safetica Next will be a full-blown DLP solution as well as Safetica One. The only difference is the sizing, positioning, and the cost, because Safetica Next is meant for MSPs mainly. On the other hand, Safetica One is meant for customer themselves because they host it on premises and it's their solution. Yeah, so, but yeah, I get you. I completely get your point. Without the e-discovery, it's complicated to classify data. However, I think with Safetica Next, you don't need that classification because it uses content DLP to do the dynamic content scanning, and it searches for the content of the file instead of the file itself.
Milos will show you this on the demo
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
On the policies, it becomes quite obvious.
Yes. And only after that, after we understand what the customer really wants, because if I learned anything in these 8 years with Safetica, customer never knows. They know nothing, never ever. So you need to help them to understand. And only after you understand and help them understand, we can create those policies and tailor them to their needs precisely. And after that, we educate people. We educate the normal employee who can be an old grandma working their part-time job. She was presented a computer she never used in her life before, and she's like confused. So the education of people may be very important because not everyone is IT science educated, right? Not everyone was raised in a world with computers like I was, for example. Not everyone knows how to use the security protocols and everything to be safe on the web or in the network. So the education is very important. For me personally, it's one of the most important stuff in IT security or cybersecurity, the education.
It just goes back to this point that over 60% of security incidents were unintentional user
Yes.
error. I mean, example Milos uses is a bit extreme, but realistically, we sometimes click on the wrong email and stuff, even though we work this, okay? So it just happens. So it's to minimize the 60% security you've got the inside threats, basically. That's the goal, to minimize it.
On this screen, you may see how efficient proactive approach, different kinds of proactive approach is when you try to convert a lead or opportunity to a deal. So if you do a product demo, only 4% of those customers really turn to a deal. If you do
A crap demo then.
no, it's a good demo, but they don't see the value in the demo. Why should you do you see it? So if I showcase you the car and I tell you, okay, this is 600 brake horsepower car, it's go to from 0 to 60 in like 1.7 seconds. Would you buy the car only because I told you, or would you like to try it? You wouldn't purchase the car from me because I can be full of bullshit, right?
But if you're showing the product, you're doing a good demo.
But I'm showing you the product on my data in my controlled environment.
Right, okay.
Every customer of ours, they want to try it.
Yeah, I just think 4%'s a bit weak.
No,
For a demo.
it's true. It's true. But the demo for us, it's only like a door opener. We never stop with demo. We always try to persuade them to do the trial. And if you combine them, it's 4 times bigger chance you convert it to deal. If you add the security assessment, which is the report generated from Safetica Hub, it's 1/3 of the chance. And if you help them through all these steps in a controlled proof of concept, which is what we do. So we cooperate with them on the POC, it's 60% chance they will purchase the product.
The issue with that though is you've got the resell's got to invest a lot of time in setting up, doing the proof of concept and doing all the work behind the scenes to get the deal over the line.
That's true.
In which case then it's already installed. And retrospectively, you charge a customer for what effectively is a proof of concept.
Sure. And what if I told you that for you as a reseller to do a POC with Safetica NXT will take you only like 2 to 4 hours of your time?
Not experience, but yeah.
I know it's longer. So it's around 10 to 20 days for the customer, but for you as a person responsible for the POC, it's 2 to 4 hours of your time.
I think Barry was trying to say that it's more than 2 to 4 hours.
It's taken, yeah, I mean, on the ones with, well, it's taken a lot longer. We've had a few issues with it. That was a different thing, but I see what you're saying. I just, particularly our demos can go quite well.
Sure, but if you provide them the trial, just the trial, it's almost 5 times or 4 times less. There's 4 times smaller chance that you will actually be paid for the product in the end. So you still invest some time in them. You still provided them some license and you did the demo and you helped them with some technical Q&A. It took some time off your hands as well. Not maybe such a significant time, but you still was involved. You were still involved with the customer and you don't get anything from it.
You know, I'm agreeing with the proof of concept. So the concern was as a reseller that the amount of time you have to invest to get to that.
Sure.
Is a cost in itself. So
I will try to show you today how easily the demo can be done or the POC can be done with NXT these days when we did all those improvements in the product.
And say, well, I'm not familiar with Safetica NXT anyway, so that might be
Perfect. Yeah.
a better suited product.
With Safetica One, okay, I was talking about Safetica NXT. With Safetica One, the time is bigger and the period is longer because Safetica 10, it has only 10-day trial. Safetica One has 30-day long trial, so it's 3 times shorter, both in the period you need for the data collection and in the time you need to invest in it. With Safetica One, it's more, let's say, Safetica One is an advanced tool. Even the POC is advanced, I would say. For some customers, the POC configuration is almost identical as the final configuration because they will really want to test it through. These customers, we call them major accounts, are usually bigger than 1,000 seats, are banking customers or financial customers or healthcare customers who really are like, they want to go through the POC fully. It's usually paid service. So even though you don't win the deal, you still get paid for it. And they are fine with it because these corporate customers, they can afford to pay you for the POC. But it's very complicated time to time because they really want to go feature by feature and they really want to find out whether you will meet their requirements or not. So obviously, in these cases, it's much more, the investment of yours is bigger and it's only 60% chance you win that. So there is still like 2 out of 5 customers won't purchase it, even though that you did this for them. Luckily, we have a team, customer success management team, who look after these huge major accounts or important major accounts with these specifics and these requirements. And there is a different approach with them. We assign specific people to these accounts. So they have a support contact, dedicated, pre-sales contact, dedicated, sales or business development contact, also dedicated. They have different SLAs, much faster. And we work with them proactively every day or at least every week. These major corporate customers, they don't care about you. They don't care about us. They don't care about Safetica. They don't care what product they purchase because they can purchase any product they want. So it's up to you to persuade them that the product is the right one for them. And if you do, we have, for example, a customer who is a biggest European bank, and we pilot our product. We are finishing pilot of our product with its Czech branch. It's 4,600 computers, plus some Citrix terminal servers. And if we are successful with this pilot, which surely we will be, not surely, but probably, everything seems smooth, we will be able to upsell from the Czech branch to the European network, which is like I don't even imagine how many seats is that. So it took us 2.5 years to configure the product to their perfection. We worked with them for 2.5 years now. We integrated our product to their solutions, other solutions they use. We used their input to make our product better because we knew if a major European company is going to purchase us, every other bank company will follow them or will be okay with our product because we will make it bank friendly. So we did it, and now we are on the verge of renewal. We expect the renewal any day now, and if we are successful and they renew, we have a great chance to go to their Austrian HQ or German. I think it's Austrian, and upsell to many more than we already have. And that's what we do during the POCs. The POC itself, it took 6 months because they really tested the product through. After those 6 months, it was a paid POC, of course. After that 6 months, we built up our configuration on what we already configured during the POC, because those POC testing scenarios were actually their use cases they wanted to meet. So we did it, and here we are 2.5 years later. They are still our customer. We tailored the product to all their needs. They paid us a lot of money. We sold 2 service level agreements with them already, on top of the licenses and on top of the implementation price. So it's a money generator for us and the partner. And the customer is happy. And that's what we always try to do with these POCs, to make them happy, to see that what we promise during the demo or what we show in a video or what we say in our marketing data sheets, it's true. So they can test it in their environment and make sure it really works. And it's not just empty words from us.
I think the balance here is obviously your example uses a really big customer, which is worth investing a lot of money so you get the return in time. There's a balance here with, smaller customers effectively having a more scalable model, which is quicker to implement, so you have a 2-hour window, not like
4,000 seats, without a shadow of doubt, you invest the time in it.
exactly.
Presenting this to resellers such as yourself, and we deal with small to medium-sized businesses.
Yeah.
So we're never going to deal with that size of customer.
No.
So it's not relevant to kind of what we would do. We don't know what the Affinity guys, we don't know what size of. This is a conversation I had with Monica. Yeah. My personal thought is that a lot of the guys at Safetica, and please don't say this the wrong way, Marsh, did not understand the UK market. Right. I mean, who do you deal? Who's your market? Ours is predominantly SME. We're talking small to medium. Yeah, we've got a couple of enterprise, but it's predominantly SME. So you get these suites. What's 25 seats, 30 seats? 25, 50. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's your target audience on this, and that's kind of why I was, disrespectful. It's just that the opportunity for us to get 4,000 seat situations is never going to happen. Well, so the UK market is going to be, we're dealing with a lot of these corporate people already have in-house IT. So if you're dealing with a resale channel, which is us guys, which we're doing all the ESET solutions, all that box stuff, then we're going to deal with customers that are smaller, that are going to be, they haven't got the IT infrastructure, haven't got the resource to deal with. So that's kind of really where you need to be sort of pitching you down a lot if you're dealing with the resellers, as opposed to more, about a 4,000 seat, proof of concept stuff going in there, investing all that time. No issue with that at all, because it's worth the time to spend on it. Yeah. But for us and for Affinity, I would say that probably need to focus more on the small to medium-sized business kind of angle. And I get, Safetica ONE, 300 seats plus. Well, we're trying to sell Safetica ONE, but we sell it to seats with, anywhere between 25 to 400 or 500. So to us, that's our sweet spot. It's not 4,000 seats.
But for these customers, I would not recommend you to sell Safetica ONE because it's too expensive for them.
It is, but
Yeah.
up until recently, we've had to use Safetica ONE because the feature set
Sure.
being Safetica.
Exactly, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
That's why the cost and the lead time.
It's has been a challenge.
Yeah,
right, so
It's a difficult product to deploy and get correct. So
Sure.
the feature's not being NXT.
Sure.
So that's why we've had to go with Safetica ONE. We didn't want to do it, but you ideally want to use Safetica Connect.
Yeah.
That's why we
But
host this
we
event.
haven't been there.
Yeah.
That's why we host this event, because we really recreated Next, or we improved it so much. And I believe that what you will see in a minute will be to your liking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, personally, I think Safetica One's fantastic, you know, I've always been a fan of it since, but
Mhm.
the cost,
Yeah,
it has been a bit of an issue, but they are there's that much functionality within that. That you know, can still justify that cost over to the customer because of saving on licenses or whatever, and all the benefits that come with Safetica One.
Mhm.
But as you guys have pointed out, the next product, I think certainly better suited to us.
Yeah.
If it's got the bulk of the functionality that you've got within one, you know, the DLP and the monitoring and all the rest of it.
And that's exactly it. The reason we have to go down Safetica One
Yeah.
is in that SME space, the majority of people want the employee audit
Correct.
stuff,
Which is what I asked
which is the
Alex to focus on as well,
Yeah.
rather than DLP.
and that's exactly the conversation I have with Alex.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
in that SME.
So we're thinking for that same in sheet on that.
They want an employee activity audit
Web ordering,
and the workspace audit and control side of things.
yeah, web auditing and all the rest of it as well. That's what the small to medium sized business market really sort of be focused on. The DLP stuff's fantastic, but that they need it also, we've seen there's a bit of a shortfall of the solutions going to monitor everything such as printing or the job searching,
Yeah.
that kind of thing as well. If Next can cover that, then I think we've got something that's.
Yeah, as long as Next can cover that,
Yeah.
Perfect.
that's the entry we want.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let me finish this block. Let's have a 10-minute break, and and we will jump in the Safetica Next demo before the lunch.
That's great, but I think it helps you with understanding
Yeah,
this as
yeah.
a.
I completely understand it.
it,
We actually understand it much more now because, as I said, we did a lot of talking to local MSPs.
Yeah.
And they actually were really enthusiastic to share some feedback on Next. For me, to be honest, I didn't like Next until like this January, because for me it was like it felt like a beta. I was against. I'm not a manager on a C-level in our company, but I was against releasing it actually a year ago because it was so basic. It was just insider threat detection. It couldn't protect anything, and it was very like, it was okay-ish, but the added value was very small. We rethinked that, and the added value is much bigger now because we have the protection module in Safetica Next already. So stay tuned. In a minute, we will go there. And I already mentioned this, but during the first steps in defining the opportunity is describing why Safetica is so unique against the competitors. There is some information here, but what I always say to our customers, Safetica was made easy to use, it was made easy to deploy, and it was made performance-wise very light. That's feedback from our, let's say, competing customers or customers who use our competing solutions like McAfee, Forcepoint, Symantec, Digital Guardian. They always complain about the performance. It's just too heavy for anything that is not a corporate customer who has 10,000 plus seats and data centers so powerful and huge, they can compete with Google on that. They have like server farms usually in these corporates, which normal customers don't have. And in that case, all of these solutions I mentioned are very, very heavy, very performance eating. And Safetica is not. We try to make it as lightweight as possible, especially the next client. It's very, very lightweight. We need around 2% of CPU by average on a computer and up to like 200 megabytes of RAM in average. Of course, there might be some peaks during a content scan, for example. Content scan is quite performance eating, but it lasts around several seconds. So yeah, for several seconds, the computer resources go up, but user can still work because we have a controlling fail-safe mechanisms that actually disallow our client to take 100% of available resources, because we always think of user. User needs the computer for his work or hers. So we never cross that border, never cross that line. So suddenly the computer is unusable. Time to time, there might be some conflict with some antivirus or some stuff. So time to time, you will experience some bug doing exactly the opposite what I just said, eating the performance, because there would be a conflict, but we can always solve that. It's just a bug can be fixed. So, and yeah, the easy to use and easy to deploy, you will see with Safetica NXT, it's very easy to use nowadays. It's very straightforward. Guys already saw it on Friday, and it's very like step by step clear, and it's very user friendly these days. Also, you can use these positioning in software reviews data quadrant. Unfortunately, Gartner, they discontinued their DLP Magic Quadrant. So the last update was in 2019 or 2020. Since then, there is no Gartner DLP Magic Quadrant anymore. But software reviews, they still do it. And it's divided to 4 quadrants. And as you can see, Safetica is among the leaders, together with McAfee and Forcepoint, of course, but we score more highly than Forcepoint. McAfee's advantage here is the all-in-one solution, because they have everything in one solution. It's called McAfee Data Center or Data Security Center or something like that. And it offers all DLP, insider threat, antivirus, blah, 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 all the stuff, all the hot words, you know, from today's cybersecurity.
It's just their
topics.
antivirus is shit, basically.
Yeah, but it's not very good solution. It's an all-in-one solution, but not very good. In the Czech Republic, we were approached by a customer using McAfee DLP, and they said, guys, we are not happy with it. It's very performance eating, very complicated to configure. If you are able with Safetica to substitute 100% of the functionality from McAfee we use, we will switch to you. There was only one feature we don't know how we don't do: data encryption, file encryption.
But we do.
But ESET does it. Many tools do it. We don't focus on that. We don't need it. So they said, okay, this is not an obstacle. You have 2 months to prove us that your solution is better than McAfee's. So they dedicated us some part of their environment. We installed the server. They uninstalled McAfee from those computers. We installed Safetica there. And they were getting a positive feedback from their users saying like, I don't know what you did, but my computer is like normal again. It's fast and everything. And within a month, we switched Safetica in the whole environment, and they got rid of the McAfee 7 months before their license expired, which is like, you know, they invested in Safetica even before their licenses expired, which is amazing. And it was not a small company. It was a car leasing and car insurance company, the biggest one in the Czech Republic, actually. So we were very, very pleased. And on this page, you can see other names, quite famous, I would say, in some cases, that are our public references. And all of these customers use Safetica, but there are some more that we can't share, unfortunately, because there is a secrecy contract with them, especially those banking customers. They are not very sharing. But yeah, I think this page proves that Safetica is not just a small company from the Czech Republic, but we probably do something right if we have all those and more, which I can't share with you right now. But I believe if you get in touch with our marketing department, there are some case studies or references that are not public, but we can share the case study without naming the customer. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a very interesting one we were sharing a few years ago about some tire manufacturers. I don't know whether that's still around, but it was a very interesting one.
Yeah. So if I skip ahead, we have some of these use cases here. This is a huge manufacturer from the Czech Republic. They build gearboxes and gears for car manufacturers and train manufacturers, and they supply Skoda, Volkswagen, maybe even other concerns. And they experienced a data leak. So after they experienced it, after they experienced the espionage, they purchased Safetica to protect their plants because they were afraid someone might steal their projects, sell it to some Chinese company who would start making the same product in a week for like 10th of the price because there was no research, no development, no nothing, and would destroy them. So they're our customer for like past 6-7 years maybe.
I think the example here was that somebody went to a trade show and they saw their product in Asia
Yeah,
being completely replicated
yeah.
and didn't even realize how this was
Yeah.
possible.
The same happened to one Czech aircraft manufacturer. They built these wings for not for the big planes we travel in, but for small sports planes and 2-seat or 4-seat planes, the smaller ones. And they actually realized that the Chinese company makes the same wing. They spent 10 years of researching and building for like very small amount of price. And they had to stop working on that particular wings because they couldn't sell it anymore because the Chinese were selling it. So again, they became our customers. And yes, we have similar like these from a different industry. Inweld is the biggest car dealership of BMW in our country. They are in all major cities, including Prague, Brno, etc. And what they try to protect is their customer database because they value their customer privacy. If you purchase a premium BMW, you expect that the company will like. I don't want to be rude, but you expect like them kissing your ass, right? So they want to like be really sure that they don't break the customer's trust. And from a completely different environment, Telecom Malaysia is our customer for many years now. It's the biggest telecommunication provider in Southeast Asia. It covers like 5 or 6 countries. It's like a Asian Vodafone. And yeah, they've been our customer for many years now. And we actually cooperate with ESET APEC on that. So we stick with ESET here. And I'm not sure if it's Hong Kong or Singapore office of ESETs is helping us with this deal, and the customer is happy long term. So yeah, we still have some aces in our sleeves when talking about use cases and scenarios. Okay, I suggest a quick break before I will jump into the demo. The demo is for around 40 minutes plus discussion. So, and lunch is 12:30. So let's do 10-minute break. Is it all right? Thanks.
She's under the cotton
Get everything done because you're on holiday in 2 days. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we are all here, so maybe it's a good time to continue. All right, let's proceed with the Safetica NXT demo. So as a partner, all you need to do these days to get to Next is actually go to hub.safetica.com, which will bring you to your hub session. Every partner has right to use that session if they registered previously with Safetica. Sorry, I just needed to share the screen for the recording. Now, if you go to Hub, you will have different naming here. Obviously, the Hub will be named after you as a partner. And you will be presented with a very simple dashboard. The dashboard's purpose is very easy, very like basic, to inform you quickly and immediately if there is a problem. If not, the dashboard is almost like useless. The only value in here now is to show you immediate problems that need solving. Like here, you see that there are 12 devices with some issues. So I can click on the number and I see that with this trial instance of Safetica NXT, there are 12 issues of some kind. So I can click on it. I will be redirected to the next session to which this alert belongs to, and I will be forwarded to the screen showing me what the problem is. In this case, it doesn't communicate. Agent or client are offline. In my particular case, it's on purpose because these are dummy data, of course. But in a real life, this would mean that there is a problem in a connection between the client and the server of some kind that needs investigating. There is actually always a tooltip describing what it means and how you can fix that. So back to Hub, we will have our time in Next. In here, you can see you can have different types of subscriptions for Next. Can be NFR. NFR is yours. Every partner who has access to Safetica Hub has one NFR subscription for free, so you can use it internally for free. Then you can generate a demo, which is full of demo dummy data that are disconnected from any type of endpoint device. It's just a dummy server of Safetica NXT that you can use for presentations to your potential customers. And then there is a trial. A trial is a 10-day long subscription that can be turned to a full subscription. Without a trial, there is no possibility how to generate a full license, but you can switch from trial to full immediately after creating the full license. So if you register a new customer, you choose between demo, NFR, and trial and full, starting with trial, possibly switching to full in the future. You just add some basic information about your customer company and contact information about either yourself or the contact in customer's team, and you generate a subscription. As you can see, there is some basic information about the subscribing customer, and there is some information about the trial instance. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because if you deploy a trial, it's always deployed in managed mode and guided mode. Guide mode means that if a customer launches Safetica NXT for the first time after you create the subscription for them, they will be presented with the data, and they will be presented by step-by-step wizard that will take them through the product, showing them the most important things. You can deactivate it after it's no longer needed. And manage mode means that you, as a partner who generated the trial from here, from the hub, you have access to that next console because you deliver it as a managed service. So you need access. Some customers may require self-managed mode because they don't want you to see their data, right? Unless you are allowed and you are allowed to enter that console, but that needs to be authorized by the customer themselves. So you can deactivate the manage mode, which will disallow you to log in the next unless you are given an access by the customer. So you can switch it off, make and give the customer more privacy. Nevertheless, if you provide it as a service, you need access to Safetica NXT because you're a service provider. So obviously, this deactivation should be done only for those customers that are really like strict about their privacy and they requested it ad hoc. Otherwise, you are a service provider. So there is no problem in having this access. From here, you can also generate the audit. So imagine I deployed the trial. Imagine I deployed the trial 10 days ago. That's the trial period. And now the customer is asking what's next. So as a partner, you can click here. You don't even have to go to next. You click here. In minutes, depending on the amount of logs, but within minutes, here it's seconds, it will generate this security audit report, which you probably know from Safetica ONE, but in here we took a different approach. And you can see that within minutes, you have a great outlook of what's going on in the customer's environment. There is a general summary which says or provides some general summary of what was going on in those past 10 days, right? So immediately the customer sees how many high risk, medium risk, and low risk events happened in their environment, how many operations, including sensitive data, were detected, what was the size and number of all audited files, how many percent of all activity involved data movement within the company perimeter. This is very interesting. Only 1/4 of all activity happened in the safe perimeter. So 75% of activity of their users happened outside the safe zone. Data shared to public file shares, data shared to public clouds, etc. And there is, of course, some details regarding each channel and each user. These two girls, they are made up, of course, but I like to say they are Hungarian because their surnames sounds Hungarian, Orocho and Vargas. These two girls, they pretty screwed, right? They together combined, they created more than 470 high risk incidents. So basically, as an admin or security engineer, now I would definitely focus on these two. I would go to their user profiles and I would really check them because that's a lot of incidents, right? And of course, going forward in the document, there are specifics for each sector of the product. So there is audit report on apps, on files, on emails, etc. And you didn't have to do anything to create this report. And this report might be used as a great selling tool when you trial the customer. We can get to it later, or we can get to it now if you have any questions, but I will give you some space to discuss this. So this is what you can do from Hub. Additionally, there are some useful links. Additionally, in settings, you can invite your colleagues to join you by registering their accounts. So as you can see, many people can have access here. This is our demo partner instance. So as you can see, a lot of sales, marketing, and pre-sales people have access here. And there is a new module, which was not here before, when you switch from trial to full, you will be able to see the billing information here, and you will be able to bill from here. So provided monthly, if you want, or provided annually, you can control it. You can control it from here. You will see the full subscriptions here and the payment information, etc. So and it will generate you a payment link, which you can provide to customer, and they can pay by card very simply. So it's like a full SaaS experience now. Going back to the customers, let's see what was the next progress. So I go to my trialing pre-sales company I have here. As you can see, the interface changed a bit. It's still the same interface, but it's full of information now. It's not so empty. We have many widgets now. If I pro
Sort of.
Yes.
Patients to see. More in depth or less in depth, if you.
I think it's a sales tool, it's good, yeah. Showing the customer what the software can pull out, definitely.
Yeah, so let me choose the right time period. Now, as you can see, the dashboard is full of interesting information. The most interesting information in here is that I have 95 risk incidents in the chosen period caused by 2 users. So I can either click here and go immediately to the overview of those incidents. I have the user table here. I have the timeline here. I have the table with all the details, which is modifiable, so I can add more information in it if I want, and I can investigate those risks. There is a summary, risk analysis done by our product automatically, and if the data was already classified, here you would see the data classification connections. This file was not classified, so you can see our product can actually detect a sensitive file operation, mark it as a high-risk event, even without you classifying the file as sensitive or the customer. So we are working on this machine learning of sorts. It will actually be a machine learning in the future. Now in Safetica ONE and Safetica NXT, it's not AI yet, but it's already pretty clever. So it can detect sensitive information based on some keywords and some dictionaries and some logistic we have there, and mark it for you, even though that the classification is not prepared. You can change it from high risk to no risk if you detect a false positive very easily. The system will remember this change. So in the future, unless you classify the file manually, it will not be considered sensitive again. So you can change it to this, or you can create a new policy immediately from here. I will get to that in a second. So this is the overview of data security from the incidents points of view. Now let's do the same, but with users. So I said before that there are user profiles that you can search when you see these users are potentially dangerous. These 2 Hungarian girls are listed here immediately. And with user overview, you can see what these 2 users specifically did in the chosen period. There is an overview and there is the behavior analysis. So you have quite a lot of information shared directly about the user. And you see that it's very simple to find this information and use it for the analysis of their behavior. We don't care if they were productive or not. We don't care about if they did the work they were supposed to do. But what we care is whether they break the policies or break the secured perimeter or not. And clearly they did. So this is where the dashboard can bring us immediately. Of course, there are other widgets you can use. This is the same widget as we used from the hub. 12 devices out of 13 have problem. The 13th is mine. Is my computer, virtual computer that I have connected to here. Unfortunately, I can't use it because of the access. I'm not sure why, but my access to the computer don't work from the UK, and I didn't have time to ask our IT for a permission, but I don't know, there is some forwarding issue probably. But nevertheless, you can see one computer is active and is reported as active, and I can control the devices from here. I can download the agent for Windows or Mac from here, install it on a computer. I can see details about these devices. And I can uninstall the device, troubleshoot the device, or deactivate the client remotely if I need. If I troubleshoot the device, it will automatically collect debugging or verbose information for our technicians. You can either turn on enhanced logging, which may produce more performance on the computer, but if we need it, it's inevitable anyway. So, and you can start collecting those logs here and provide it to our support team later. If it's collected, if it's collected, it will be written here, and you can click on the link and you can share the link and either download it and report it to the support, or you just can share the link with support and they will take care of it. The last module that is in the analyze section of the product, it's called now Shadow IT, because we use the buzzword, it's very buzzy, Shadow IT, right? Everyone talks about it. Actually, what the module is,
Yes.
yeah, we don't need to go out, right? What the module does, actually, it shows which apps and webs are used in the environment, allowing us to see whether users use or do not use potentially dangerous applications or access potentially dangerous webs. And you can, of course, block those apps and webs with Safetica NXT by applying application or web policy to them. You can eliminate pornography, illegal pages. You can eliminate using keyloggers or other software that is potentially dangerous or harming. And you can limit the perimeter. I was talking about the safe zone. So it's very like narrow and authorized by administrators.
As websites allow access to websites at certain times, such as lunchtime. Let's give Facebook as a good example. You limit that during working hours.
Yeah. So not
by ESET's endpoint security. It's doable.
no. So Safetica NXT don't allow working hours definition. Safetica ONE does. So with Safetica ONE, you can define we define working hours in which those policies are applied. With Safetica NXT, it's 24/7. It will change probably in the near future because, as I said, Safetica NXT and ONE are becoming almost very identical. So very similar, at least.
Or use ESET.
Yeah. But that's the problem with security, right? So even though Safetica ONE allows you to define working hours, the DLP works 24/7 anyway. Web and app policies, yeah, they don't need to work 24/7, but DLP works because is it okay to post security? I don't think so. And with this secure perimeter, it might be a very similar question. So I don't allow them to do it, you know, in working hours, but should I allow them to do it outside working hours? It's a company laptop full of company sensitive information. Do I want to allow my users to use it for personal? Of course. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
And that give them access lunchtime.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm just understanding the ins and outs of it.
Not possible with Next. Not possible with Next. Possible with One.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're here. Now you can change from company activities, which gives you an overview of all activities and marking risky those that we think are risky. For example, using WhatsApp is very risky because you can file share through that. You can send screenshots through WhatsApp, right? So if WhatsApp is not your official instant messaging tool, should it be allowed? Perhaps not. At least it should not be allowed for data sharing. We'll get to that later in protection. You can switch to personal use or personal usage, where depending on let's say depending on users' behavior, we distinguish whether it's a company-related activity and it's potentially risky, or it's a personal activity. Meaning of we see also the situations when users spend playing games, for example. So this can be used as a like optimization for resources, because if a user plays, yes,
So it's called on the actual graphs that you've got there. So you've got, I don't know, let's say Facebook again.
yeah.
You double click on the Facebook and see which users we're using that on.
I don't see Facebook because I'm blind, but
Or Solitaire, or just say Solitaire, for example, using that. Any of those examples.
yeah. So if you,
who's actually using that?
yeah, so it's not visible from this view yet, because this view is brand new. We introduced it in the product like 2 weeks ago, maybe. We release updates to Safetica NXT every 2 weeks. So in this week, on Thursday, there should be a regular release again. They are working on this in a sprint reviews, and they do agile development, and they were able to match the sprint length and release length. It matches. So every 2 weeks after each sprint, we release an update to Safetica NXT. So this was introduced 2 weeks ago, and I presume that the functionality will grow this week and the next in next 14 days, etc. That's why Next made so many changes in so less time, because we have a really agile development there. So it's not clickable at the moment. I can't feel.
To get the information from it, you wanted it.
Yes, you can find the information. You can find the information very like. This is only about the use, general use of these potentially risky applications.
One, because one's quite intuitive in that you've got a very good dashboard that you can customize as you want.
Sure, but you can still.
Within the dashboard, you can drill down into that to see, which particular users were doing whatever in whichever time. And so it's quite, there's a lot of drill down that you can very easily find information. You need to export a report.
You can still do it.
Yeah.
You can still do it, but it's not linked from Shadow IT yet. So if you go to data security, and if you look for those information, we were talking about Solitaire, right? Yeah, it's not linked yet, but if you go here and if you see who used that, if you know who used that application, which will be added as a link, because the user is the link here. User is linked between the records of Shadow IT, data security, and user behavior. So once they will add the link in form of the user ID in here, and you would see who caused this activity, you will be immediately able to filter in it as you are used to from Safetica One, because they released it because it was ready as a global review. Now they work on the user reviews of these activities. Similarly, what you can do with files in data security, in here you can filter based on source, based on user, based on the action, based on the risk level, etc. You can filter in these records. The same will be possible with Shadow IT once they put user link in it.
That previous screen of an export button, is that export to Excel?
Yes, so you can export the chosen table to Excel. So if you like use some, let's say, I go to all events. I choose only files that were exported to external devices. As a filter, I can also use only focus on this user, let's say. So I filtered it to this particular information, and now I wanted to present it to my manager who don't have access to Safetica NXT. So I can export the details into Excel, and I can share the Excel table with him. And in Excel, actually the copy or the mirroring of the table I just created would be with all the logs.
Is that exporting everything for installation? And
Yes.
there's no to and from date on that.
So no. No, it's only from live clients. So after the installation, obviously you can customize what information you see in the table. You can add more columns if you want, including the used application, for example. And the table gets more detailed, of course. And every log has details on its own in form of the summary and risk analysis. Yeah, and this all you saw right now. This all is predefined after the installation. So to see all this, I didn't have to do a single thing, a single configuration in Next because it's already predefined. But as an admin, you can go to manage module or manage section of the product, and you can configure your own stuff. You can configure your own classification, destinations, or policies, and you can do it in this order. So if I go to destinations, here I can define untrusted or, on the other hand, safe destinations. Safe destinations mean that even though I block the whole category, let's say social networks, but I want to allow Facebook because I need to do some marketing activity there, I can put Facebook here. I can deny social networking in general. I won't be able to access Instagram or Twitter, but I will be able to access Facebook.
Does Next, is it like apply to across the whole company, or can you do it based on individuals or groups as well?
Unfortunately, right now is a global settings, but it will be again available very soon. I will show you the roadmap. It will be available very soon for grouping. So group workspace is coming pretty soon.
Because being marketing, for example, would use social.
Sure.
Kind of thing, so they would segregate.
Sure.
From that. With it being a cloud solution, if we've got an NFR and it's cloud for Safetica ONE, and the number of users, could you run the two side by side? So we have a for demo purposes and for checking out functionality and understanding what the product can do hands-on.
So the client can't be run side by side. You can either have one client or the other one. They are actually almost the same client.
Yeah.
The next client is more lightweight because there are some features missing from Safetica NXT.
We could install it, say, a virtual PC type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the NFR will be hosted on our side. You don't need any infrastructure for that. We will provide you the access to the instance, of course. And if you dedicate a laptop or two for testing, you can use 2 computers with Next. You can use several other computers with your NFR one.
For demo purposes,
Yeah.
IT savvy will get hands-on with it anyway.
Sure.
The way around it, a little bit.
Sure. So you can do these destinations for webs, emails, and USB devices. As I mentioned, apps and the rest of the perimeter will be available together with the grouping, because right now it's a global configuration, but you will be able to group it and assign the groups to different users in the tree, because now it's a global configuration. But it's a start. It wasn't there before. And as I mentioned, we use an agile development, so they release every 2 weeks. You can expect what's going to be released. You can expect it pretty soon. If I go back to Hub, you can actually click this link, go to knowledge base, which in this case is used both as a product documentation and manuals for everything connected to Next. And in here, there is the change logs of the releases, and there is also coming soon section, which will redirect you to the new site. They started to use ProdCamp. And if you go to ProdCamp, this is both a roadmap and feature request platform. What you can do is you can access the ProdCamp also from here. So if you want to just provide quick feedback, you can do it from here, from the little widget, which is both in Hub and Next. And it will appear in here in the ProdCamp. So here are 3 tabs: roadmap, which will give you an overview of what's planned in the product in a short-term, mid-term, and long-term overview. You can give feedback, of course, and you can read release notes in here. So this is like a public version of the ProdCamp. You can filter
features.
Yeah.
You can submit very likely they'll be
Yes,
implemented. Seriously considered.
exactly. Or they're already handled or at least backlogged, and we will add you can upvote. You can see those little hearts. You can upvote ideas that already exist. Our product management go through this very often. If they see duplicities, they merge them and they upvote them, so it matches the real number of requests per feature. Yeah, so you can give feedback on that as you need. Destinations are only the first step. The ultimate step is protection. This module is very similar to what you see in Safetica ONE, but it's content only. There is no context DLP at the moment because we thought, okay, who's our typical Next customer? A small to medium company. Do they know how to define context DLP? We don't think so. So we started with content. Of course, context is coming as well someday later this year. But we started with content because for small to medium customers, it's very difficult to define a context rule, even though the interface is easy and even though that it's not hard to configure it like in the product, it's very hard to think of it. Like you need to know the origin of the file or the path where the file is stored, or you need some other input information. And that's what usually customers without IT team or infrastructure don't know. That's why I'm asking them, oh, do you know where the data is? I don't know. They usually don't know. Somewhere we have a NAS system. We have a NAS system as a storage, and it's somewhere there. Which folder? I don't know. Which partition? I don't know. Some of those, and they don't know where the data is. So for them, context DLP is not very useful. That's why we started with content. As you can see, again, there is a lot of policies pre-configured. Only like several of them are in a real block. These are only our custom policies. Everything in here, which is set to notify, is there by default. You can turn it off, of course, immediately after the installation. You can just toggle this switch and it's off. The thing is that we want to make sure that the added value of the product is shown to the customer immediately after the installation. So immediately after the installation, users get these informative, educative notifications that don't block anything. They just inform them they work with a sensitive file. Similarly to what ESET do, when you install ESET, it starts showing you warnings if you approach some thread, or if you like download some suspicious file, it automatically does it for you and you expect it to do it. So we want to make sure that our SaaS solution does something similar. And now to the main point, how to add a custom policy. It's very easy. Let me delete these two I created in the past 2 days. And let's create a new one. So now if you click open or add policy, you have 5 simple steps how to define it, and it's very quick. So let's name it somehow. I want to do a healthcare policy, okay? I want it to mark the data as a high risk. I can choose from log, notify, or block mode of the policy. Log will only generate logs in the console, notify will educate users, block will interrupt the situation, right? So let's do block because I really want to protect those files. Now, step number 3, select the data. You select what data file types you want to protect. If you leave it empty, you protect all files. If you want to limit it, you choose what files you want to protect. It's healthcare data, so let's do only spreadsheets and text files and web files if it's exported. I think that should be it. So I'm covering Office Suite, I'm covering PDFs, I'm covering tables and everything. That's okay for me right now. And I want to use a data classification. Oh, good thing. There is a healthcare data classification already prepared for me. So I can use this and I can check what it does later, but let's do it. Seems like what I've been looking for. Now you select destination. So now you choose channels you want to protect. Obviously, if you leave it empty, everything will be protected. And that's the goal for majority of the scenarios. And you can select user group. Either you assign it to a single group of users or you leave it empty again, so it's a global policy. And that's it. You just configured your first next policy, and it took me a minute and a half, including the commentary.
A bit more classification.
Sure. So now I chose healthcare classification, and I want to check what the classification is all about. I can go here in the classification module, and now you can see that there are some predefined classifications already. Some of them are turned on, including my healthcare related classification. If I click on it, you see that in this policy, all healthcare information, all predefined content, healthcare information we have in our product is already included in it from around the world. You can always extend it by adding new rule, which can be either from predefined content, it can be a single keyword or a regular expression defined by you. You can add more elements in it, of course, so every rule can include multiple elements depending on what you need. And you can change the threshold, so you can choose from only one finding. You can extend it to that it will be considered sensitive only when 5 or more findings are in the file. So it depends on you and the customer's requirement. Or, and this is a great thing that we have the technology alliance with other companies like Netflix, you can select rules from the library and voila, you are presented up to 300 predefined content policies without need of defining them on your own. You can filter in those, you can choose United Kingdom, and it will show you all predefined content we have for UK. So including insurance numbers, including healthcare numbers or healthcare information, passport numbers, etc. You can all choose them directly from here. And you can start protecting customer in this type of
So that technology partner, they've effectively invested a lot of time to classify, you know, what the national insurance number looks like, what's the checksum of that number, so we will
sure.
notice not simple stuff like credit cards, but also more advanced stuff like is something potentially a national insurance number, for example. Just an example, it's a lot of obviously various topics they
Yes.
defined.
On top of that, you can turn on OCR. So we do the content scan not only in files, but also in pictures and PDFs of scanned documents or photoed documents. And you can extend the default file type set. There is a default file type set, which includes the files basically daily used by customers for daily work. If an extension is missing from here, you can always go back here and you can define your own extension. So let's say there is a custom software your customer uses, the extension for the software would be something like 1, 2, 3 ABC. You can edit here and the file will be protected as well.
By folder destination as opposed to file types without going global Excel to specific.
So,
Payroll, HR folders, Excel folders, that you want locking down.
so as I said, this is content scan only right now. There is no context DLP. So you can define origin of file here. This will not classify any data upfront. It waits for the situation when you try to share the file or the information in an email message or something. In that moment, it will scan the message or the file. If there is a sensitive information, it will stop it from sending. If it's not, you will be able to send it. So there is no like pre-classification. It's marked sensitive at the moment of the action. This context is normal for our Safetica ONE solution. You can classify data upfront based on its origin, which can be a path or a web browser address or URL address, sorry, or it can be an application of origin, can be both local or network path, etc., etc. But this is for context, and context is coming in some form to Next during 2023. I would say somewhere in the second half of the year. We will talk about the roadmap shortly.
Now, on that screen at the bottom, you've got user group.
Yeah.
What's that in relation to? Because earlier you mentioned that groups wouldn't feature set.
Yeah, so it's not available for user for Shadow IT because there is no user linked to the log. So in here, there is no log. This log is not connected to a user. It's just a general log of the activity, and the link to user is missing here. Will be added in the next iteration, but you still have user groups because user groups define users loaded from the endpoints. We know about the users, we just don't link them in the Shadow IT, unfortunately. If you go to data security, you see which user generated this log. You can add a user column here. Oh, it's already there. Here.
On the policy, then you could have a department, a group of people in one department.
Yes. Yes.
That would have policy applied.
So if
the department wouldn't.
Exactly. So if you go to settings and users, you will see all users from the environment connected to this Safetica NXT, and you can group them. As you can see, I have created 2 custom groups. I put users in these groups, so I can assign policies to these users. So I can assign protection policies to them, and I can see the data security logs assigned to them. It doesn't work just for user behavior and Shadow IT. It's not linked yet, but it will be very soon. And the same will apply for destinations. So these user groups are already there, just not linked with destinations yet. But again, 2-week-long releases means that it will be there very, very quickly. So yeah, with policies, you can assign it to groups or leave it as a global policy. And in settings, you can also configure integrations. So as I mentioned, Safetica NXT is already available for integration with Azure Active Directory. So you can create your groups. You can load the groups from the AAD. Yeah, so you don't need to do it manually. More integrations, similarly to Safetica ONE integrations, are coming, like with the Microsoft 365, with Power BI, etc. Whatever we have in Safetica ONE, they work to get in Safetica NXT too. And of course, you have account permissions here, so you can add or remove users. If I am added here like this, I can access Next, even though that I deactivated the manage mode. If this is not here, and customer knows who manages them, if I deactivate it, this will be gone. And without this, I won't be able to access the Next console anymore. And they will know that it's not managed anymore. and they will need to give me the access if they want me to join. But we suspect, or we think the majority of customers using Next will want to be under partners management because it's a SaaS solution and it makes sense. If I'm a small company of 5 to 20 people, I don't have any IT person or security person. I don't have time to go through the logs in Safetica Next. That's why I buy it from you as a service. So you deliver the experience to me, and I just receive some regular reports or something. Yeah. So this is Next, and it's a new version. I hope you liked it. After the launch, we will compare it to Safetica ONE, the new generation we just released. And I will show you the roadmap of both products, so you know what to expect in upcoming months. And yeah, what do you think about the update? Is it more like, do you see it more suitable for the UK? Do you see it more like with the production module and everything? Do you see like a better choice right now than it was before? Yeah.
Our two products are going to compare side by side by the end of the year. But I can definitely see much more value in there. The pricing right now.
Actually, the feature set you just saw is okay with 90% of small to medium customers. They don't need more because they can't define more. They don't have resources or people to define it. You know, with Safetica ONE, with bigger customers, they have whole teams working on the data security, so they know what they want. With small customers, you mentioned 20 to 25 seat customers. This feature set was approved by majority of those. Yes, this will be enough because we otherwise still don't know what to do. Yeah.
Sit there classifying data all day long. I'm not interested in doing it.
Exactly.
You just want to know that the information stored somewhere, so that it is ideal for that.
Yeah.
Once the user information is linked, then it gives you more of the employee activity side of things. Then it will make it a much stronger proposition.
Sure.
But the big one, what we get asked about is, can you tell me what that user did for the last week on the internet? That's the sort of reports they want at the same time at the minute.
Obviously, we are a security solution, so we focused on the security first, but the activities and the links between them are coming very soon. I think, for example, on Friday, I presented the roadmap in the presentation. I was saying, so in a short-term roadmap, we have the Azure Active Directory synchronization, so it's coming soon. I opened Next, and on Thursday, there was a release. I forgot about it. I forgot to check the release notes, and it was already there. So, you know, I had an information from the week before that it will be coming to product soon, and in 5 days it was there. So it's pretty quick.
What's important here is that we keep them informed with the latest product development. So is there a feed they can sign up to, or is that something we need to forward to them? Partner base.
That's the other side. That's the
No.
The page with the
knowledge. Yeah, it's like where you can vote for the knowledge base.
Yeah, we will definitely send it to you.
Yeah.
It's in our brand cloud. It's publicly accessible. It's a link. It's linked in the presentation. You will get the presentation.
Roughly what the commercials on this and what's the cost per user roughly?
What's the cost per user?
That's your.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah,
provider in the
The
UK.
final instructions was that you will bill it directly and we would be.
No, we will just provide it directly because, you know, the thing is, Safetica Next is a monthly paid subscription model, but ESET and Safetica HQs, they struggle in integrating the monthly billing into ESET's billing system. So we will be able to provide it to you as Safetica directly, and we will bill ESET separately. So for you, it's a monthly subscription product, or you can pay annually if you want, but you know, with SaaS is usually monthly payment, right? And the price list is the same.
Here, I assume it's still the same.
Uh,
Might be. But
If
let's have
it's
a
not the
very
same,
rough
it's very similar.
expectation.
Yes.
If it's a monthly subscription at the lowest band, which is 50 to 249, as in euros MSP, it's 450 a month.
I can give you a very precise.
There's also the retail costs, and we got a discount off that.
I believe that's retail, yes, bear with me.
Because I'm just remembering the price that you gave me previously. It was about £4.5 retail, and we got a discount on the back of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Because our MSP is always the cost to you, but the Safetica NXT one, I think, is actually.
So I have prices here.
One is that around 86?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. Let me pull that. I can definitely confirm that one.
So guys, Safetica NXT as a monthly subscription.
And that's for the big one. Big one, big one.
Get 20 gig license. So if you've got 10 users, you're buying 20 gigs.
Even the PO sales one.
Didn't you just change your model from endpoints to users?
Yes, we did.
So actually.
I have the price list here if you need to see
This
it.
is an important thing. It's no longer endpoint stuff. It's for user. So, and the fair usage policy is about 2, maximum 3 devices.
3 devices per user. Yes.
Yeah.
I know, same more around the base part, is give you 20 license. Yeah, so they can use them, but if you've actually got 10 licenses, you're paying for 10 licenses that you're not consuming, you're not using.
Arguably, those 10 employees can use 20 devices, you know.
But if you're a small, if you're 10 employees, you're not gonna have 20 devices.
I mean, if it's a phone and a laptop per person, that is 20 devices, but you're right, in theory, they can only have the 20 devices.
You said in the base, the minimum. Fair usage says they can use 2 or 3 devices. So.
I have the price list right here, guys. The actual one.
Devices, that makes no odds. If I've only got 10 users with
Well, yeah.
2 devices each.
I have the price list, the current price list right here. It's divided to monthly and annual payments. And this is the price for GBP right here.
Yes, the 450 I was told.
And it's depending on the user tier.
Yeah.
That user tier is the resale, so how many the resale sold or how many the customer has.
That's how many the reseller sold across multiple customers. I'm pretty sure that's the same as our MSP.
So what's your customer not for time then?
Yeah, as a reseller, you can purchase 200 seats and you can split it to 12 customers if you want.
Okay.
Because that hub is your.
The hub allows you to use many licenses. Yeah, of course, we will need to generate a subscription for the customer based on the actual number of their seats.
Yeah.
So let's say if there you purchase like 300 seats and you divide it per 25 per customer, it's up to you. You will generate 25 seat subscription tiers or subscription instances in the hub. And however you use your licenses, it's up to you, of course.
So, sorry, then, if we were to buy 50 licenses, for example,
Yeah,
but we only want to use 5 for 10 customers.
that's not possible because there is a core package of 20 users.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we were saying before.
Yeah, so if you have if you have 5 seat customer, they need to go with the core package. There is nothing below.
It's going to be 20 or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a core package it's from 1 to 20 seats included. And the core price is not only for the seats, it's for the instance itself. Below that, no one would profit of it because under 20 seats, the price is so low that it's actually less than what we pay for the Azure instance running, you know? So there is a core package included, 20 users included, everything on top of 20 users can be purchased by this There is one line missing actually, because there should be one line 20 to 49. I don't know why it's not here, but there is a new line as
Well,
well.
on that basis, so because your Safetica ONE is minimum 10 users, told me before.
Safetica ONE is now also 20.
It's also 20. We
It's also
synchronized
20.
starting January the 1st. We synchronized it, and the core packages are the same, starting with
Okay.
20.
And to answer your question earlier from what's the base cost of that, it is 96 quid
96.
Yeah.
per year. Yeah.
So let's get an example. If you purchase Safetica NXT for 50 users, it's $3,000 annually. If you want to change it to monthly, oh sorry, I can change it to GBP. Yeah, so for 50 users monthly, it's $225 a month, or to 2,250 per
It's
year.
billed annually.
Yes.
These ways to work it out is
Yeah.
250 users, it's 90 quid, isn't it, per base per month?
Here I have a
This is
older
not-
version of the licensing, because now we can put 21 here, right? But I'm not a salesperson, so I don't have access to these usually, and this is an older version.
It's pretty rough there. Over half the cost.
That's the rough number.
That's why I said that for smaller customers, Safetica ONE is too expensive. And with Safetica NXT being able to do almost everything that Safetica ONE can very shortly, it's much a wiser choice for small customers to go with NXT. All right. I'm stopping the recording now, and I will do a second recording for the afternoon session.